Last night, the St. Louis Blues fell 6-2 to the Arizona Coyotes, and I have to say, I was right about some things, but I was also wrong about some other things. I think I underestimated a team that happens to look very good this season. This is all coming up here on Locked on Blues.
You're Locked on Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked on Blues. I am your host, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things St. Louis Blues. This is also part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can listen on any podcast streaming device, YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can see my Blues hat. Hello and welcome. I'm going to wear this hat every Are We Feeling Blues Friday just to keep the tradition going because I feel like it could bring some good luck. But on today's episode, I am going to talk to you about the Blues falling 6-2 to the Arizona Coyotes. I'm going to also talk about how it was Jacob Van Ra's best game yet this season and how I feel good about him. And of course, my favorite Friday segment, Are We Feeling Blue? So this is all coming up. I just want to let you know to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It helps me out tremendously. My everydayers, you have been fantastic with leaving your comments and thoughts. And to anybody that's new, feel free to join the family. I enjoy talking to you about the Blues. I enjoy having debates, discussions, sharing opinions. So please feel free to do so. And if you're not following on Twitter, you can follow at Locked on Blues for the Locked on Blues account, or you can follow me on Twitter, which is at Haley T. Simon. So make sure to do that. Come say hi, join the fun. And with all that being said, it is time to talk about the Blues' 6-2 loss to the Arizona Coyotes. In yesterday's episode, I just want to say a couple things. One, I think I underestimated the Coyotes a little bit. I did say that when they played the Rangers, it was more of a Rangers-dominated game, which it was. But now that I'm looking back, right, they put up fights realistically against all the teams that they've played. And they did beat the New Jersey Devils in a shootout, who, in my opinion, are a cup-contending team, the Devils. I think the Coyotes are a lot better than anybody anticipated. And for so long, the Coyotes have been this team that have really struggled in the NHL. There's just been nothing successful about the franchise in such a long time. And it's not a diss on the Coyotes because, again, it's still an NHL team. Teams struggle, teams go through things. But when you're a team that's been struggling for so long, sometimes you will get overlooked in a sense of people might not think you're as good as you truly are. So while it only has been a couple weeks into the NHL season, I think personally, and I can admit that here in Locked on Blues, I think I underestimated the Arizona Coyotes. And with that being said, I am going to talk about the game. But while this is a St. Louis Blues podcast, and while I am a St. Louis Blues fan, I can admit sometimes when my opinion may not be correct. And I was wrong on that. So to anybody that was watching that was a Coyotes fan, or even if you're a Blues fan and you feel the same way that I do, like, hey, this team might be a little bit better than I gave them credit for. That's just how I'm thinking. And I just wanted to put that out there. So I didn't expect last night to go the way it did. I told you I expected the Blues to win 2-1. Obviously, the Blues got the 2 goals. It's just that the Coyotes ended up getting 6. So what went wrong? And I'm going to talk about the game itself. I rewatched the game twice today. I watched it in the morning. Again, I watched it obviously last night. I watched it in the morning. And I feel like my perspective changed on this game quite a bit. So when I watched it this morning, again, all I could see was negativity. All I could feel was this team really let it down. When I watched it for the second time this evening, afternoon, evening, same thing, right? I still consider 4 o'clock the evening. But when I watched it again, I noticed that Joel Hofer actually held his own in net during the first period. Despite that one goal, he really did do a good job. He had a couple nice glove saves. And I have to give him credit on those 20 minutes because that was not an easy 20 minutes. The Coyotes had a lot of great shot attempts. And, if it wasn't for him, the score would have been higher. So that definitely was something I wanted to mention. Another thing that I wanted to also bring up was I'm a huge, Jordan Kyrou fan, and I will always be. And I understand players may not have their best games, but man, the amount of times when he had puck possession that I got turned over was quite scary. And that is how I believe that 2 of the Coyotes' goals went in, was due to the fact that when Kyrou had the puck, he turned it over, and the Coyotes were able to capitalize off of that. I think the interesting thing, though, about this game was the fact that the defense didn't play back much. And watching, the game back in the first period, they did. But then in the second and third period, they just seemed to continuously be up. And when the Coyotes had a breakaway, they were really just, it was a 2-man rush against no one except, Joel Hofer in net. And it just obviously didn't give the results that anybody would have wanted. The one thing that I will say about Joel Hofer in net is he looked a little bit out of place. And obviously, I'm not going to stand up and demonstrate how a goalie's positioning should be. This is a podcast, so just visualize this with me. There were some plays where I'm trying to explain this with visualization, where he just didn't have his pads down, where it just seemed to be too gappy and the puck was able to sneak through underneath his pads, right? And when you're in those positions where a guy is going to do a wraparound or he's going to do a nice slap shot or a little bit of a backhander, you need to be prepared to fill those gaps. And it just seemed to me like the net looked big and he looked small. That is the best way that I can put it. And I like Joel Hofer a lot. And I think last night I was frustrated. I'm watching this team dominate my team. And I think that, your immediate reaction when you witness a 6-2 loss is, I am upset. I am angry. This is the same team as last season. I still will stand by what I said last night, though. This was probably one of the worst losses that they had in the past couple seasons. And last season, it did look like they gave up a little bit towards the middle-ish, endish of the season. For me, the reason why this was one of their worst losses, it was because of the sloppiness that was executed on ice. Meanwhile, when they played Dallas, they did not play the same way. I understand that, Pavel is out, Binnington wasn't in net. I understand some of those things, but you have to adjust sometimes, right? That's how it goes in the game of hockey. Things are not always going to be perfect. Your roster won't always be perfect. You're not going to always have the guys that you're used to having. But you're telling me that the rest of these guys, minus the 2 guys that weren't playing, couldn't adjust? It just seems a little bit ridiculous. But again, they were slow on the ice. The Coyotes were so dominant on the ice that I'm not surprised that they won, and they deserve that win. Now, if the Blues played the way that they did the entirety of the first period, maybe my opinion would be a little bit different. I would say, you know what? This was a really hard-fought battle. The Blues gave it their all, and that would be that. But unfortunately, I can't say that sincerely, that the Blues gave it their all. I would like to believe that, but there was just so much sloppiness on the ice, and the defense, I'm going to make a joke, but they look like they're in midseason form from last season. And that, to me, concerns me greatly. With the forwards, I'm not as concerned because there was a lot of good effort executed. I saw a lot of nice passing from Kevin Hayes. That was a huge one. I saw a lot of great shot attempts. Now, I am going to talk about one player in particular coming up that really impressed me. So I always will look for a positive. That is one thing about me, is that this is our first loss that you and I are having together, I will always bring up something that's positive within the game because I do believe that there is always a positive thing to talk about. But overall, it's a loss. Will this hurt the Blues? No, it's so early on in the season, which is why you got to shrug it off, right? They play the Penguins tomorrow at home, and maybe they can get some points then. Binnington will most likely be in net, and, Bush will be back. So I am not concerned about the offense. Now, when it comes to the defense and the backup goalie situation, I am a little bit concerned, but I'm going to talk about that all in the next segment coming up because there are some more details I need to get into. I could talk forever about this game. I also watched the game and bought ESPN Plus yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy that you have to buy ESPN Plus just to watch your team play? All right. There is a lot of uncertainty in the world today, and it's important to be prepared. There's fires in Hawaii, there's hurricanes and tornadoes all over in Florida, and there's earthquakes and more. So this is what I want you to do. The Jase Case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacteria infections. You can also customize your case by adding additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. You can also add things for your family's needs as well. I mean, the Jase Case, it doesn't have to just be for you. It could also be for your family. So another thing that you can do, if you want to maybe gift somebody the Jase Case, but you don't know exactly what they want in their case, obviously it's customized to the person, you can get them a gift card. So if you buy a gift card for a friend or family or a loved one, they can just get it on their own. So it's basically like you're giving them it, except they can still do all the customization that they need. So go to jasemedical.com and enter code LOCKEDON at checkout for $20 off your order. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. I'm going to bring up a positive. I think that's important, especially with how negative yesterday's game was. Jacob Vanra probably had one of his better games in a long, long time. He was putting in effort. I hate to say when there's no effort put in that it's the whole team. I'm a team person, so I don't like to single out people when they don't do the right thing. But I will signal people out when they do the right thing. And one of those people, of course, was Jacob Vanra. And not only did he get the Blues a goal, he also had a beautiful assist to Sammy Blais. So this is why he is so important to this team. If he wasn't on the ice, there is a good possibility that the game could have been a 6-0 shutout. And you might think, Hale, that's crazy. How could that happen? And he was the playmaker last night. His first goal, he had a really nice assist from Hayes and Scandella, and Vanra really took advantage of it and gave the Blues some life. He cut the Coyotes 2-0 lead into half. And I also want to mention, I did tell you, and I hate that I am right about this, that Clayton Keller from the Coyotes did score last night. He always does really well in his hometown. Obviously, he's a St. Louis native, and for some reason, whenever he comes to Enterprise, he lights it up. So we just wanted to put that out there. But anyways, so he did cut the Blues deficit in half. Unfortunately, only a couple of seconds later, the Coyotes were back up again, 3-1. And then right before, I guess, about 5 minutes before the second period came to an end, they were 4-1. Now, the third period was interesting. The Blues were down 5-1. I'm sure, in a way, the players knew that they were not going to come back and win this game. And I don't know if they just said, you know what, let's just try to get one more goal. Let's try to get some life just so it's not, that big of a deficit. And unfortunately, a couple minutes in, Zucker from the Coyotes was able to get them a 5-1 lead. But then A minute after that goal, Jacob, I always want to call him Jakob because I know that's how you actually pronounce it, but then people call him Jacob. So if I go back and forth, it's just because people pronounce it like, okay, not important. He had a really nice pass to Sammy Blais, who was able to capitalize off of that pass and get the Blues a goal. So that's how they got their second goal of the game. And then with a couple minutes left of the game, of course, the Coyotes score again. But I think it is important to just say this, is that Jacob Vanra had a fantastic game. Take aside the score, okay? Take aside the 6-2 score and just look at him personally. He had a good game, and he helped the Blues out a lot. Now, when it came to the Blues, and I know that I said I was going to be talking a lot about this game, their penalties were quite an issue. They had, in the first period, too many men on ice. This is one of my least favorite penalties because it's the most avoidable one. There are some other things where you could say, oh, okay, well, I could see how that happened. This one, you have too many men on ice. That's just a stupid penalty, and that's just not setting the tone properly. Nothing in the second. And then in the third period was like penalty on penalty and penalty. So Alexei Torchenko had a tripping against Matt Dumba. I like Matt Dumba. He's actually one of my, I don't want to say like favorite non-Blues player in the NHL, but I do like Matt Dumba. And then Marcus Scandella had a holding against Logan Cooley. And then Sammy Blais hooking against Matt Dumba. So a lot of penalties for the St. Louis Blues in that third period, which is surprising that the Coyotes were only able to score a couple more goals. I mean, it's ridiculous. But last night, the Coyotes, as I said, they were the more dominant team on ice, and they were able to significantly do better in the faceoffs. They did better in the power play, obviously. Basically, the Coyotes ended up being on top. But last night, Jacob Vanra, despite the loss, he was able to get the third star of the game. So, as I said, it was a good game by him, and I am proud of him, I have to say. But going back to the goalie situation about Joel Hofer, what's going to happen? Well, a part of me thinks maybe Subban should be the backup to Benner. Now, I want to give Hofer another chance. I don't think the position that he was in was fair. I don't. The defense didn't do enough to help him. While I do think that there were some mistakes that he made that, were a little bit sloppy, not as good, fine. It happens. He's young. But at the same time, when you don't have a defense, and this was the same issue as last season, if you don't have a defense that's going to protect you, it's inevitable that goals will get in the back of the net. You cannot stop, pucks being shot at you without any protection from your blue line once again. So I am not saying to send him back to the AHL. I said that last night. I was upset last night. But rewatching the game, I think one thing that I noticed is that you just see the goalie's mistakes most of the time when you're just watching another team light up your net. Looking back, seeing how sloppy, how the defense was never back, how the defense seriously couldn't skate fast enough to get back to protect the net. It's not Hofer's fault. Sure, it's easy to put the blame on him. He's young, not as experienced. But at the end of the day, when you have guys on the defense, and I'm not going to say names, but you know who I'm saying, that are veterans in this league, that know the game of hockey very well and have a lot to prove this season, wink, wink, I can't wink, you expect them to step up in bigger moments and help out the young guys on your team. And I didn't see that last night, so I'm just saying. I'm not going to say any names, but All right, so before I talk about my favorite Friday segment, Are We Feeling Blue? I am going to talk to you about Sleeper. Now, it's funny that I'm saying this because I still have some optimism within me. So let's go say Jacob Vanra scores a hat trick and the Blues somehow win the Stanley Cup. And if you want to win 100 times your money, play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app. These are all possible scenarios for the season. But to have a chance at winning big, you need to play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. As the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network, Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey. With guys on the team like a Robert Thomas, Jacob Vanra, Oscar Sundqvist, the list goes on. All you need to do is pick on their stats. You can choose from goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more. You heard me, Blues fans, 100 times payouts on Sleeper. So start paying attention and get your picks in right now so you could win big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. It's my favorite Friday segment, St. Louis. It is. Are we feeling blue? Now, I knew when I put out this question, it was going to be quite the response today. And I was obviously hoping that, it would have been a different outcome, but it is what it is. And St. Louis, I have to tell you, I'm going to share my opinion on the hashtag, Are We Feeling Blue? But I obviously want to get your opinion. So before I continue to read, just know that if you ever want to participate in the hashtag Are We Feeling Blue, you can comment on my Thursday video or you can go comment on my Twitter post I put up every single Friday at Locked On Blues. I was going to say at, and then I was like at, like the at sign, at Locked On Blues. All right, here we go. Let's hope this is not painful. I retweeted stuff, but I didn't read it. So I wanted to have my live reaction here, but I also wanted you all to participate. Okay, so BP says, I expected a loss against the Coyotes. They never play well against them. And yes, that is true. The Blues really don't match up well against the Coyotes. I just thought because the Blues were so dominant against Dallas, despite the loss in the shootout, that they would somehow put up a good fight against the Coyotes and win. Markin said, how do I feel this week? At least we had 2019. While I understand that this week hasn't been the best, I wouldn't give up on the season quite yet. It is still so early. It's only week 2. Trades can still happen. A lot can happen. So do not give up on your St. Louis Blues. Daniel says, after last night, I'm annoyed at their lack of effort, but trying to be positive for tomorrow. Yes, and that is a good mentality, Daniel. It is absolutely frustrating when you have a loss like the way they did last night. But this Penguins team, while they have good players as a Sidney Crosby, as a Malkin, and the thing is, for all of you who don't know, this is a good time to tell you, right? I am going on vacation for a couple days. Next week, I'll be back on Thursday. So some of my episodes will be pre-recorded, which means that you're going to get a full episode of the Blues hosting the Penguins. So just be prepared for that. So that's why I'm not talking about it in today's episode as much, because you're going to be getting full episodes from all of this weekend. So, but they're going to be put out obviously Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So on Monday, I'm going to break down every single thing that has happened in the Penguins game. So I just wanted to let you know that, by the way. Lisa, I like Lisa. Lisa's awesome. Binner has been amazing. Defense has been as they were last year. Army is not addressing the horrible defense, and it's frustrating and completely disappointing. And Sean says, I absolutely agree with that. I don't understand why the defense issue has not been addressed. This has been an ongoing issue, and the fans, we deserve better. I'm just going to say that. We deserve better. We deserve to know why they're not doing anything about this awful defense. And I'm not saying the individual players are awful. I'm just saying that them together, it's not working out. Something needs to change because this will not go well all season. Nathan says, oh, wow, that is an overreaction. Overreaction, but fire Berube. This team stinks. Just getting ahead of the game. I'm officially putting the defense goalie mishaps since 2019 on him. He has had a big physical team in 2019 that matched his style of play, and those days are gone. He's not the guy. Wow. Hold on, Lisa. I like Lisa. Lisa says, Berube is not responsible for the fact that Army gave him the same blank defense from last year. What else do you do as a coach? Okay. I understand the frustration and I understand the blame going towards a guy like Berube. I get it. But at the end of the day, Doug Armstrong has the control. He is the one that could easily say, hey, let's make some trades. Let's go make some moves. And he hasn't. This team, besides, as I said, the addition of a Kevin Hayes, of bringing back Sundqvist, has really stayed the same from last season. I am absolutely disappointed in this goalie issue. Who told you on Locked On Blues that Joel Hofer would not be ready this season? I did. I told you that this summer because I said all along, Bitter needs a solid veteran backup goalie. Right now you have Subban. He's fine. I did a whole episode talking about this, and I'm not surprised. When I'm seeing these results on the ice displayed, and it's things that I have talked about and addressed and basically predicted that would happen, it is because every single St. Louis fan, oh my gosh, I can't even speak. Every single St. Louis fan knows that the defense is going to be an issue again. Every single person that watches the Blues play, for instance, knows that they have a bad defense. And the fact that Doug Armstrong is not addressing it, it's concerning. He's coming up on his 1,000th game as the GM, which is a huge accomplishment. But seriously, fix the defense, do better, make some moves, because this will not be acceptable all season. And I refuse to make another episode where I have to continuously say the fans deserve better. On that note, have a great day. And I will talk to you all tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know the drill. All right. And just how I end every single episode, let's go Blues.